Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger, and up next on the GM, we're going to be discussing what should the Baltimore Ravens do post all of these injuries. Do me a quick favor, hit like. If it's your first time viewing the GM, hit subscribe, and then hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. So, first and foremost, man, I know all of us know by now that Marlon Humphrey had surgery on his foot, and that's going to put him out up until at least week 4, which is about 6.5 weeks away, which probably really means week 6 at a minimum. And the reason why I say week 6 is because you got to give him some ramp up time. An athlete's feet and his ankles are the foundation for everything he's going to do on a football field. And when you start having surgery on your feet, um, you don't really know what that recovery is like until you get back up on your foundation. You know, is it sensitive? Is it tender? Um, you know, is it supportive? Meaning, will it support your weight? All of those things are major questions when you go to cutting on an athlete's feet. And so, Marlon Humphrey is no different. The good thing is he does not play heavy. He doesn't play a position where he's required to be heavy, like a D lineman, offensive lineman, linebacker, that kind of thing. He can play light around that 200 pounds. But yet and still, as a cornerback, his feet are so important to everything he's going to do on the field. How he cuts, how he stops, how he starts, how he tracks, how he tracks down the ball, how he mirrors the receiver. Everything's done with his feet. So I'm a proponent, even at this point, that one of the things I am suggesting, you guys let me know what you think. I would leave Marlon Humphreys out, okay, until the trade deadline. The trade deadline, I can't remember the date exactly, but it's going to be midways of the season. That gives Marlon Humphreys a minimum of 8 regular season games to get back up on his feet, no pun intended. Okay. And that means he'll have 10 weeks basically from now to then to get well. You see, there is no benefit to us, as Ravens fans, or Ravens the organization, that Marlon Humphrey comes back in a 4 to 6 week time span, gets back on the field and goes back out, or gets back on the field and he's not ready to roll. So I'm okay with leaving him out for you know 8 regular season games and the 2 weeks up until that point, meaning until the regular season, and then letting him get back on the field when he's 100% or as close to that as possible. Okay. So, what do we do in the meantime? Well, we don't have um, thoroughbreds on the roster at that cornerback position. Um, Rock Yassin is probably the best next cornerback on the roster right now, and he's out with injury. And then we have a lot of other guys who are dealing with injuries. JAD dealing with injuries. Pepe Williams dealing with an injury. Arthur Millette dealing with an injury. And so we're down a lot of positions, a lot of players at that position. Excuse me. And then we've seen Kevin Seymour. He's done well in practice, but hasn't done so well in game. And then Daryl Worley, they moved him over to safety. So I think the first step that they can do is move Daryl Worley back to the cornerback position to add some on team depth. Okay. Is he a top notch guy? No, he's not. But he's played cornerback the first 6 years of his career. And so I think that it's a natural position for Daryl Worley to play in. So that provides a little more depth with a guy who's already familiar with the defense and already on the roster. Okay. I think that um, we need to give JAD and Rocket Sin more time to get healthy. All indications that both will be healthy by game 1 of the regular season. And I think those are your two starters. I think JAD and Rock Sin are your two starters um, going into the season. I think the Baltimore Ravens should just wait. I used to think they should pick up Anthony Brown. I'm not even sure if he's still available, but I think they should just wait. And after this week, I think there's the first cut down, I think, sometime next week. And then also after game 3, there will be a cut down. So I think there will be an opportunity to pick up some talent um, after the cut down. There was some talk that William Jackson, and he may be signed at the point of this video, I'm not 100% sure, but there was some talk that William Jackson could be a viable option to provide some depth. And this was certainly before the Marlon Humphrey injury. So I think William Jackson is still an option, but I still think let's just wait and see who gets cut in this first run of players who get released between um, this weekend and middle of next week in that first cut down. So I just say just hold on. If William Jackson is available right now, he probably will be available next week after more players get released. So I just say wait, let's go fishing next week. So that's the second thing I would do. The third thing I would do is probably the most important thing. I would up the talent at the pass rush. Now I know you guys may be saying, Boulanger, there ain't no pass rushers available. You're right. But I'm still pushing Jadeveon Clowney across the table, not because he's great, but because he is still a quality player, especially when he does not have to come in and be the guy. Okay. So I'm going to up the ante at the outside linebacker position. You see, because if we can get more pass rush, more pressure on the quarterback, that's the less time our cornerbacks have to cover. Now, we needed to do that before Marlon Humphrey got hurt, but we need to do that even more now. So you got Odafe, who's been dominant this week in practice. You got David Ajabo, who's shown some things this week in practice. Okay, those are probably going to come into. You're probably going to go into the season with those guys as your starters, probably. I don't know Tyus Bowers' status. I have not heard an update as of late, but you know he probably will be ready by the beginning of the season. So he'll be another guy in rotation. You got Tavius Robinson. You got Malik Ham will be number 5, and then you also would have Jadeveon Clowney, a veteran, another veteran presence. So I think you have to up the ante at that pass rush. You've got to be able to get home. And Jadeveon Clowney is a big body defensive end, strong guy who can also play inside a little bit. So I think that's the third step the Baltimore Ravens should take, and I think a fourth step, which is just as practical as all the other, is make sure all our top-notch weapons on the offense get healthy. I don't even care if no starter plays in week number 2. Okay, we would have played against these guys in practice Tuesday and Wednesday, and so a lot of that was live action, and so I don't have to see anything um, in the way of a starter on Friday's game or in Friday's game, in because we've already kind of competed against these guys already, and some guys have already stepped up and shown what they can do. So I don't need to see any starters in week 2. Save that for week 3 and get in and out of that game healthy. So make sure that the offensive weapons are healthy. That way we can be full throttle offensively when we go into week 1, week 2, week 3, while the defense is trying to find their footing with one of their captains, Marlon Humphrey, down. Because I think that if the offense can do what we expect them to do, which is, score between 28 and 32 points every game, that gives us an opportunity to win 6 of the first 8, 5 of the first 8. That gives us 5-3, 6-2, something like that. I think we certainly could do that because injuries are really prevalent throughout the league right now, specifically in the AFC North. There's a lot of guys who's gone down this week. Joe Burrow has an injury, big name in the AFC North. Myles Garrett has had an injury. The Cleveland Browns offensive line lost one of their top-notch talents this week as well. So a lot of injuries are prevalent in the AFC North, but also around the league. And so I think that if we can get the guys that we need to be healthy, um, upgrade the pass rush, or just make the pass rush more consistent, and I think utilize some of the guys that we already have, get them ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and make, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Rock, you're a starter now. JAD, you need to get ready. You're a starter now. So they can begin to develop that mindset. See, because if Marlon Humphreys was playing, JD or Rock would be competing for the number 2 spot. Now they're probably going to be the 1 and 2. I don't think there's a guy that's going to be released over the next couple of weeks that has any kind of number 1 talent. So I think that that guy, whoever we pick up, will be a depth guy. Okay. And then I think that I'm going to go ahead and say it now. Just know you heard it here first. I think that there will be some type of blockbuster trade where the Baltimore Ravens go out and grab a number 1 type corner at the trade deadline. I don't think it'll happen before the season starts, only because um, a lot of teams are dealing with injury, and a lot of teams have already have their starters pretty much set. But I certainly think it will happen at the trade deadline. So look for the Baltimore Ravens to use a second or third round pick to go get a top level guy. And when I say top level, it doesn't have to be a top 5 or top 10 guy. It can be a top 20 guy, but somebody you know can come in and cover and step right in and do his thing. I believe that'll happen. I also believe there will be a secondary trade for the Baltimore Ravens where we go and make a move, maybe somewhere between outside linebacker and or offensive line. I can see a kind of a secondary trade, but I think the blockbuster deal will be for a cornerback, a position that we were already thin and we just got thinner. So let me know, guys, what you want me to know about this conversation. Um, that's my thoughts. Let me know if I've lost my mind or if you guys have some semblance of agreement. I'm your guy Boulanger. This is the GM. We're out.